So you might be thinking, what exactly do I need to start making my own music? So in this video, I'm going to show you the 5 things you will need to get started. Getting all these things might be a process and might take a bit of time to collect. So start with number 1 and work your way down. The first thing you're going to need is a program that runs on your computer that is specifically for music making or audio processing. We call this a digital audio workstation. It's a DAW or a DAW. The first step is picking which program you decide to use. There are actually so many programs nowadays that are industry standard. There's Ableton Live, Pro Tools, Logic, Bitwig, FL Studio, Reason, Cubase. I've probably missed some, there are so many. The program that you use might actually be determined by whether you're on a Mac or a PC. For example, Logic Pro is made by Apple, so it's going to just work on a Mac. If you're used to GarageBand or GarageBand, as people in the UK say it, moving to Logic Pro would be a natural progression. So I actually started on Pro Tools and moved to Ableton Live just purely because the workflow on Ableton Live was more fun. It felt like I was playing a video game. At the end of the day, a DAW is just a blank canvas for you to put down your musical ideas, and so it's best you just know one really well instead of worrying about what other people are using. Now, the prices for these programs are all over the place, but some companies offer like a light version before you invest in the fully fledged version of the program. Okay, so you've got your DAW, and the next thing you're going to need is a MIDI controller. So when you open up your program, there'll be virtual instruments that you can play to start making your music. This one is by a company called Arturia. It's the Minilab MK2, but they've just released the number 3. From a first glance, it just looks like a keyboard, but actually this is not a sound source within itself. No sound comes out of this. There is no speaker. The only thing it does is control sounds within your DAW. Sometimes they come with pads, knobs, faders. Obviously some come just as pads. This is so that, if you load up a drum kit, you might want to play these on pads instead. And if you load up something that has effects, you might want to turn those effects up with the knobs instead of using your mouse. If this is your first MIDI controller, I would say always try and get one with keys, because music is made of melodies. You're going to want to play a melody on a piano-shaped thing. So all you do is plug one cable in from your MIDI controller to your laptop or computer via USB, and pretty much you can use it straight away. MIDI controllers are so affordable, especially secondhand, because loads of people are upgrading them all the time. So reverb.com is a great website for this. Also Facebook Marketplace, eBay, the usual. So if you've got those 2 things, you're definitely on your way to making music. The only thing is you can't record any audio. So if you have a microphone, a guitar, a bass, a violin, you won't be able to record them in to your DAW unless you have an audio interface. Now these can look all different shapes and sizes. For big studios, they will use an audio interface that has tons of inputs, because they might be recording a drum kit which might need to be mic'd up by 7 different microphones and all be plugged in at once. Whereas you and me in our home studio are just going to need 1 or 2 inputs on our audio interface. Again, this just connects via a cable from the interface to your computer again, but also they're usually powered as well and need to plug into the mains. When we do get our audio interface, we just go into our preferences on our DAW and select it as our inputs and our outputs. We want to make sure our DAW is listening and can record it. So for number 4, you will need some studio monitors or some headphones, or both ideally. So these studio monitors are different to normal hi-fi speakers. Hi-fi speakers are for the home and they color the sound. They might boost the bass or they might boost the high end of the sound. So most studio monitors aim for a flat response, which means they're not going to color the sound like hi-fi speakers would. And the reason why that is important is because if you take your music and you play it in the car, you play it in the club, you play it at your friend's house, and all of a sudden the bass is really loud and you're not sure why, that might be because your speakers weren't accurately telling you the truth. So there's a reason for this particular order, guys, and that's because your studio monitors will need to plug in to the back of your audio interface. If you don't have any speakers, that's totally fine. You can use some headphones and plug them into your audio interface. I have both my speakers and my headphones plugged into, and most audio interfaces will allow this as well, so that I can flick between listening to my monitors in the day, and then when I need to shut up, I will listen on my headphones at night. So a little hack, there's this website called thomann.com, I might be saying it wrong, but they are a music shop and they have categories like audio interfaces, MIDI controllers, and you can list their items in order of popularity to see what a lot of people are gravitating towards. There'll be a reason why they're popular, either because they're really good and really expensive, but also a lot of the budget-friendly options will be in this popularity list because they're really good value for money. So you will find that headphones is exactly the same as the studio monitors, where there are some brands and products that are specifically for music making and therefore have a flatter response. And number 5 would be adding extra sounds and samples and instruments to your library, to your collection, so that you have more options than just the stock ones that come with the DAW. So when I say instruments, I actually mean both physical instruments and virtual instruments. Physical instruments, you could add a basket of percussion to your collection and be able to record in more real organic shakers and things like that. So in terms of the virtual instrument side of things, one thing for you to know, and you might have already heard about this word, is that you can run little mini programs within your DAW, and they're called plugins. They can be effects, but they also can be instruments too. They can be free, they can be paid for. For example, I have downloaded a free plugin called BBC Symphony Orchestra, which is their real symphony orchestra they've recorded. Whenever I want some strings that haven't come with my DAW, I can open up that plugin within the DAW and load it up, ready to play on my MIDI controller. So plugins expand the possibilities of what the DAW doesn't have. So I hope that was helpful. If it was, you'd probably like my other video on how I made the Women's World Cup theme tune. It gives you like a bit more of a deep dive into my thought process on making a track from beginning to end. What's way more important than this list is that you need to start with number 1 and start making music. If you found this video helpful, give me a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.